Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Section 1504 of the Dodd-Frank Act was like many other provisions that were ultimately included in this sprawling law. They had absolutely no relationship to the underlying cause of the financial housing crisis. However, some have used this financial crisis to hijack federal securities law in order to push a socially motivated agenda. Specifically, Section 1504 of the Dodd-Frank Act requires companies registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission to annually report payments such as taxes, royalties, fees, production entitlements, and those types of things made to foreign and U.S. federal government relating to the commercial development of minerals, oils, and natural gas. Companies subject to Section 1504 must report the type and total amounts of these payments made for each project, as well as the type and of payments made to each government. These payments cover, as I said, taxes and other things that are really business expenses. While this may be a laudable goal, using federal securities law and the SEC to enforce social issues is inconsistent with the SEC's core mission and completely inappropriate. Just to remind everyone, the SEC's mission by law is to 1, protect investors, 2, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and 3, facilitate capital formation. I would liken what they're doing by having the SEC put this rule in place. It's sort of like requiring your police department to be in charge of road repair, too. It's just not their expertise. The SEC recognized this fact and stated that Section 1504, quote, appears to be designed primarily to advance U.S. foreign policy objectives, not investor protection or capital formation, notwithstanding the merits of the underlying policy goals, and conducting more American foreign policy is not what Congress created the SEC to do. In fact, just moments ago, the U.S. Senate confirmed Rex Tillerson as the Secretary of State, and I would suggest that we let him direct our foreign policy. When, with all due respect to the commissioners and the SEC staff, none of them are really foreign policy experts. As we debate this resolution, let's be clear on what this isn't about. Some have tried to argue that a vote to vacate this provision is a vote for corruption somehow. This couldn't be further from the truth. Now, I understand and sympathize with the sense and the feeling of this, that this rule makes supporters feel better about themselves, but it does not solve the real-world issues. You know, this foreign rules that has been brought up is really like comparing apples and oranges with the foreign rules versus this particular rule. And if we allow them to rewrite this particular rule, we might actually mirror what the EU and what other foreign governments are doing. So, and despite the claims to the contrary, H.J. Res. Does nothing to undermine the ability of the SEC and the Justice Department to police against foreign corruption. In fact, both of these agencies still have at their disposal federal laws, including the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which prohibits bribing foreign officials.
Gentleman is recognized for additional 30.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And even without this SEC extraction rule in effect, fraud will still be fraud and corruption will still be corruption. Both will still be illegal activities that should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Voting for this resolution is a vote to right the ship. It's a vote to reset the regulatory process. Congress needs to send this flawed regulation back to the SEC drawing board and instruct the SEC to get the provision right by promulgating the appropriate rule under Section 1504. And I urge my colleagues to support this resolution, and with that I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.